Welcome to Uplift. It's good to see you today. Take a deep breath. It's time to stop and relax and to let go. And we're going to do that first by starting with a prayer. So just take a deep breath and close your eyes. And what I know today is that we've come together to this place of quiet time to allow our hearts to open and to that space be filled with love, and to recognize that right here and right now the space is full and fresh and open and clear, and a time to just let go and release into the newness of right here and right now. And just so allowing your breath to be in the place of God, the place of goodness, the place of truth. And so what I know is right now is perfect, it is great, and it is good. And so letting it be now, I release it, and so it is. And so today I want to talk to you about something that happened to me this last week. Actually, it was last week. And it was really interesting. I know that you'll appreciate it when I start to tell you. Every once in a while something happens that is sort of a surprise and an interesting thing. But I was reading a book, and I ran across, while I was reading the book, it was The Universal Christ by Richard Rohr, which was the name of the book. And that's not what we're going to talk about, but it was the name of the book. It's a great one. If you haven't read it, get it. But I was reading along, and all of a sudden this quote came along that the quote, it gave me pause, you know. That's a real intellectual way of saying I couldn't stop thinking about it, you know. I read these words, and I just could not stop thinking about it. Over and over, it was at night before I went to bed. And so I stopped reading, and then I kept reading some more. But, you know, and I did get a good night's sleep and everything. But the next morning I woke up, and it's on an ebook. It's on my Kindle. And so I went back to the quote, and I read it, and I thought about it all day. And it was really interesting. And so I thought the quote is, let me give you the quote. It was, how you get there is where you arrive. Let me say that again. How you get there is where you arrive. And I just thought that was so interesting to me. And because I kept thinking of it over and over, I knew that it was important. It was an important thing. It felt exciting, and it felt a little curious, and it made me wonder. But anyway, so I just stopped on that thought as far as my spiritual thinking or anything, and I just stopped. And I thought about it, and I thought, is that really true? And my intuitively I said, of course that's true. How you get there is where you'll arrive. And I thought, of course that's true. And then I go, well, wait a minute, is that really true? You know, it was so funny. And then how you get there is where you how you get there is where you'll arrive. Yeah, I believe that. Well, I don't know if I believe that or not. Does that happen all the time? How you'll get there is where you'll arrive. And that is just a really great way to think about it. And so I'm hoping that you'll think that way too, because that's what I'm talking about today. How you get there is where you'll arrive. And so it's interesting to think back on those few days, because it's a really great set of words. You think of it as a set of words on a piece of paper, but it really made me think about what I was considering in those moments. So just looking back, the first thing I thought of was, you know, something kind of small, and how we go through the day. I thought about going to the store. How we get there is where you'll arrive. So how I go to the store is where I'll arrive at the store. And that kind of, you know, that didn't make sense. And it didn't seem like it got me anywhere. It didn't seem like it did anything. So I just took it a little bigger, because I was still thinking about this quote, and I took it a little bit bigger to something like looking for a job. I thought, well, let's think about looking for a job. How I look for a job is where I'll arrive at a job. And that seemed a little more useful, you know. So how I look for a job is where I'll arrive at a job. So it's like if I apply for a lot of different jobs, at varied types of jobs, then I'll arrive at a job that is more flexible. There's a lot more things to do, and it's a more rewarding job. So it seems like that applies a little more. You know, if I'm a little more expansive about the way I go there, then the job that I end up getting is a little more expansive, and how I go there applies to how I arrive. And so, you know, like I told you, this quote just kind of stayed on my mind, and I thought to myself, now, Sam, wait a minute, you're a minister. You're a minister, Sam. Think about this. Think of it in a more spiritual way, okay? So, I thought, so let's apply some spiritual ideas to this quote. So if I think of things like, if I go somewhere in a loving way, then I'll arrive at a more loving destination. Now, this to me totally makes sense. Doesn't that make sense to you? If I'm traveling in a loving way, I'll arrive at a loving destination. That makes total sense. So there it is. My heart just pitter-pattered. Well, it didn't actually pitter-patter, but you know what I mean? It just felt right. So if I go somewhere in a hopeful way, then I'll arrive at a place that gives me hope. If I travel somewhere in a kind way, I will arrive at a place that's kind to me and I am kind to them. So if I use those kind of character words or theme words of emotional words, if I travel with positive types of qualities, I'll arrive at a place that gives me a positive types of awards. So I thought, well, that really makes sense, and no wonder that quote made such impact on me. How I travel there is where I'll arrive. And so that really made sense in such a short, succinct amount of words that I can use in my daily life to help me think about how am I doing here? You know, how am I traveling right now? Because that's going to affect where I end up. And so, as I think about it now, in retrospect too, I think about how do I want to say this? How these small few words have been related to us over the years in different philosophies and in different ways of practice, in different types of words, and I'm going to tell you about those right now. There's, if you think about in Science of Mind and Spirit, for example, we've been talking about how that the universe responds to our predominant beliefs in co-creating our lives with us. The universe responding to our predominant beliefs. So how you get there, that's your predominant beliefs. So I go through the day with my predominant beliefs. How I'm getting there is where you will arrive. So that's the co-creating part. So how I'm getting there is my predominant beliefs, and I co-create where I arrive. So Science of Mind and Spirit has been saying it as predominant beliefs, and this quote says it in a different way, different wording, but it's the same principle being applied. So I love that. It's the same. There's one truth, right? There's truths, and they're all said in many different words so that we can understand them and use them. And this is an example of that. And so also another way that is saying the exact same thing is acting as if. Have you heard that before? Where act as if in the law of attraction, act as if something's already happened and it will be attracted to you. Acting as if. So if I act as if I'm abundant, then abundance will be attracted to me. So if I act as if how you got there, acting as if, is where you'll arrive. So if I act as if I'm abundant, I'll arrive in a place that's abundant. So if I act as if kindness is my life right now, I'll arrive at a place that's kind. So that's another way to say it, acting as if. So I love that. Again, it's a different practice, so to speak, the law of attraction, but it's the same principle. The The same principle would be in effect as the quote that we've been talking about. And so I also thought of the law of karma. Karma's been, people have been talking about karma for centuries, but it's the same kind of thing. What I give is what I receive, the law of cause and effect. So what I put out into the universe returns back to me. So how I travel is where I'll arrive. How I travel is where I'll arrive. So those few words they're amazing words. How you get there is where you'll arrive. I really love how important these few little words became in those few days of me. One, because it made me land here giving you this talk, right? And I get to share these with you now. But two, in my own life, it gives me just those few words that I get to check in with myself and say, how am I traveling right now? So how am I traveling right now? Am I being a kind person? Am I being loving? Am I being how I want to be where I arrive? And so in that same poem, Philip Booth writes, in the same line right before this one, he writes, beyond here there is no map. So beyond here there is no map, and how you are is where you'll arrive. And so if you think about it in that way, if there is no map, how I'm traveling is where I'll arrive. That means that how you are traveling and where you arrive, if there is no map to get you there, how you're traveling right now is very important in engaging the universe and helping you to find where you'll arrive. Did that make sense to you? It was kind of a big circle, but if you think about it, if you don't know where you're going, how you're acting right now becomes pretty important. How you're acting right now and how you're traveling is an important thing if there is no map or destination to get you there. It's all in how I'm acting right now, how we're acting right now in this moment that can help contribute and determine to where we're going, because there is no map that will get you there. So these few words written by Philip Booth were the very simple directions to help us learn that how we're acting now in the present moment, how we're traveling, is a very important thing. And so I'm really happy that these words jumped off the page, like I said. One, because it's so helpful. It's a helpful reminder to check in with myself, and for us to check in, and that I get to share these words with you now about how we're traveling. How are you traveling? How are you traveling today? Will it take you somewhere that you'd like to be? So let's end with that right now today, and just remember that quote. Philip Booth is the writer. How you're traveling is where you'll go. And we're going to end this little talk with a prayer. Okay, so let's have a deep breath. And just know that our travels are always from that place of heart. Our travels are always surrounded by love, and our travels are always given in accordance with what indeed is that belief of God, and that is in goodness. And so it is in goodness that I allow these words to embrace us all right now with that view of light, that view of wholeness, that view of grace that gives travel to our, gives lightness to our steps, gives truth to our inspiration and vision, to our soul's calling being made real. And so, giving thanks for all of that, I share love with these words, and I know truth is the guiding foundation of all things, and I simply let it be now. And so it is. So I'm glad to be with you today. Make it a wonderful day. Thank you.